Hi, everybody.
Good morning. Okay, I've just popped on a little bit early because I want to make sure I've got the tech right. No one's on with me yet, but if you're watching the recording, then you get to watch this bit. Maybe I'll put like in the bit above, like fast forward to this time, so you don't have to watch this. So what I've done is I've gone live. And I check in my group if I'm live because I've got my computer in front of me and I've got my slides. And this is, oh, hi, Neely, you're here. Yes. Hey, girl. That's cool. So if you're popping on, just say hi. I see Daniela. Rachel, is that you? I'm just looking at your profile pictures. That's how I know you. When I see you in public, you're going to have to like put your head in a circle so I can recognize you. So I've just got my laptop in front of me, and I am just making sure that I can see the comments and everything coming through here as well. And I'm, in fact, live. So it's 9 o'clock, is it? Right, ladies? Morning, morning. Yes. Hey, Rachel, I thought it was you. Okay, so let's get started. Yes, because it's 9 a.m. and you've made the effort to come on time. And so I honor you to start on time. Hey, Becca, good to see you. So I asked you guys what you guys want to talk about, what you want to learn, and the majority responded that, hi, Robin, that they wanted to figure out, I get so angry, I snap at my kids, I just lose it, and I really want to be more patient. And I know all about that. In fact, my signature class is on that topic, and that's why I have slides prepared. I can't assure you that I'll have slides in the future, but I have slides in front of me, as opposed to like a sticky note that just guides me through it. But hi, Paulette. But I'm going to take you through this, and it's really fundamental, these ideas that I'm going to teach you today, because we're going to talk about, first of all, a big one here, why it's so normal to lose your shit. Now, I know that every time that you lose your cool, you're like, I'm the worst parent. Is there something wrong with my kid? Is there something wrong with me? And it feels like the whole world is kind of falling apart. I don't know if that's how extreme it feels for you, but it can be very confronting when we lose it, especially if we keep losing it and we're kind of stuck in this pattern. Hey, Tova, we're kind of stuck in this pattern. We're like, we can't get it together. And it can be scary and it can be overwhelming. And we wonder, one thought that goes through my head is, am I causing like permanent damage to my kid? Am I messing my kid up? Am I getting this all wrong? So I want to talk to you today about, first and foremost, why this is so normal. Thanks, Paulette. That's awesome. Yes, totally. Actually, before I dive in, I want to just let you guys know how this is going to work. I'm going to go through the class. If you have a question as we're going through, please put in bold question. That way I know when I scroll back through for questions, I can pick that up and I don't have to read through. Because I don't know about you, but I find it annoying when I'm on a live with somebody and they're reading through everybody's comments that I've already read, and it's just too slow for me. I don't know. I'm ADD, so maybe I just need things to move a little bit faster, right? So if you could just put in bold question, then I can come right to it and we can just get to the questions. Hey, Emily, and save everybody that trouble. So we're going to talk about why it's so normal, just because we all feel like shit and alone and somehow flawed. So I want to talk about how it's normal, that you are in fact normal. This job is very hard, and I think that's very important that in my first live, I make it very clear to you, not just my opinion, that I've established personally from experience, but professionally, it's important for us to understand this because it helps us. It helps us in the day-to-day. Hi, everybody who's popping on. It helps us day-to-day when we lose it to just come back when we can regulate that guilt and those harsh feelings that we have and the fear, etc. We're also going to talk about why we lose it. It's really important that we know why. Right? And I don't know about you, but when something's broken and the technician comes, I'm like, okay, but what's going on? Like, why is it doing that? I need to know why, right? And in general, as humans, we need to know why. We often ask why, because we need to make sense of things. That's how we are wired. And we're going to talk more about the brain and how the brain works and how how we function as human beings with human-sized brains, especially in relationships. Knowing why things are happening is very important for us to organize our experiences. That is very important when it comes to regulating and coming back to the present, being more patient, being in connection, as opposed to being in chaos and being in confusion and being in overwhelm and being in fear and anger and big emotions. That we can understand what's going on. It helps us to come back to the here and now and be more present and patient. Finally, I'm going to tell you guys what are some things you can do. You know, what are some things that we can do? And I'll give you some practical things and give you also a just macro general idea so that you can also get a sense of what we're going to do here in this group and what you're going to learn from me. And you can decide, you know, oh yeah, I want this, I want more of this. You can decide, oh no, I just don't dig this lady. And, you know, that's cool. That's cool too. So this is a group, as you've all noticed, that I've made smaller. I do feel it important for me to acknowledge that I've made this group smaller. It's very important for me to, and I feel very grateful that I have, and to everybody who has supported me, Azzy, thank you, through this process, to come to recognize what's really important and what what my superpower is and what I want to give in this world and how I can help, and making this group small and specific, that this is a group for moms. You are in the right place if you are a mom who wants to work on herself and build better relationships. Now, we're going to talk about our kids today, but really what you're going to learn today is relevant for all relationships, and this is first and foremost your relationship with yourself, which is critical. Are you guys hearing my WhatsApp come in? Can you let me know? Is that annoying? It just keeps coming in, and I'm not sure how to turn off notifications yet because I'm not really used to doing this. So let me know if that bothers you. So let's dive in. Let's get to talking. I'm actually going to make this big because I see all of your comments. Let me make this big for myself. Okay, so we're going to talk about today. The question is, how do I manage my anger? How do I manage my anger so that I can be more patient with my kids? So the first thing that, we talked about the issue, right? Like, you guys are all in the right place. You all know, you lose it, you snap. You don't want to tell anybody. You don't want anyone to know it. But wink. But, we lose it. We're just like, ah! And it's kind of like this Jekyll Hyde situation. This, like, person comes out of me that kind of is a little familiar. Like, oh, yeah, I know that lady. But also at the same time is a little bit frightening. I don't want this woman in my relationship. You kind of know that this isn't, when you're in a knowing state, that this isn't how you want to react. You don't want to respond this way. But in the moment, you don't know what else to do. And sometimes it even seems justified. Like, even in the moment, you're just like, yeah, yeah, there was no other way to do this. I had to do it this way. And yet at the same time, I'm not sure if that's entirely true. I still wonder, wait, are there other ways? And so we feel guilty, we feel unsure of ourselves, we feel insecure, and we also are, at the same time, we're feeling unsteady and unstable, and often alone. And so I'm going to just skip through these slides. This is a slide I did. It was a webinar. That's right, Neely. I did this as a webinar, actually, and I was promoting a program. And then I just decided to just share the information. So I have these slides, and I'm just some parts I'm skipping through, like, hey, who am I? Do you know who I am? In case you don't know, I'm Liba Lurie. I'm a psychologist. I'm also a mother of 4 kids. So I know everything I'm doing wrong. That's what it means. It means I know exactly what is going to happen. That's actually what it means, guys. I know exactly what's going to happen if I don't get my shit together, because these are the women I help. I help the women who struggle to get their shit together. And when I say that, I say it with the greatest honor to all of my clients, to those who are listening at any time. I say it with complete honor, because to step up and to say I need help is the hardest thing I have ever done, and any of us will ever do, to say I need help. You can bungee jump, you can, skydive, you can birth children, okay? Like the most frightening things, you can move to a new country. You can do some scary things, but I think the hardest thing that we will encounter is, for many of us, is asking for help and stepping up and connecting with another person and saying, hey, I've had hard times in my past relationships and I need help. And to do that in a relationship is so harrowing. And so I honor you. So whenever I talk about my clients, I want to be very, very clear, because there is so much stigma around therapy that as it shouldn't, I fear that it is interpreted as they have problems, they have the issues. And in fact, I want to be very clear. These are the warriors. These are the women who stand up and say, I'm going to do something about this. And like you ladies here who are showing up live, or you've taken time, thank you. And with gratitude and appreciation and like praise to you, taking time to show up. It means a lot to me, and I want to give that back to you and acknowledge what it means to show up and to say, hey, I'm going to listen to this lady, maybe she's got something to say that could help me. So well done, everybody. So that's just a little, just so you know, when I talk about my clients, that's what I mean. So I've got 4 kids. They're 5.5, a little boy, and 3 daughters above him. And I've got a 7.5-year-old, a 10.5-year-old who's going on like 18, and God help us, and a 12.5-year-old. So I'm moving into a new stage as well, into adolescence. Sorry guys, that was loud. Into adolescence, and it's very, and we're going to talk about that as well for those of you who have older kids. We're going to talk about as well, the stages of going older kids, and it's also going to give you some insight if you have younger kids, some toddlers, so that'll be good. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about, why you're not alone. 19 of us, 20 including me, are here, so we're definitely not alone. We're all here, and really to understand why struggling in motherhood is normal, despite the expectation, our self sort of expectation, or what is socialized, that it's supposed to be this blissful time and it's supposed to be amazing and we're supposed to be perfect and awesome. We're also going to talk about why everyone is losing it on their kids. Now, I know you think you're the only one, or you think you're the worst, or you're thinking, it just seems catastrophic in your eyes. And in some ways it is, because you're the only mother to your children, but that you're not the only one losing it on your kids, and why it is that we lose it. Why is it that everyone is losing it? And finally, what you need to do to regain your sense of calm and control. That's really important, right? So I'm going to read a bit through my slides. Sorry, guys, I didn't... what's really important to me is that I'm really present and here with you and connecting with you. Nevertheless, I've got this stuff written right in front of me, so I sort of might stumble through it. So when faced with the realities of life with kids, most moms think there's something wrong with them. I know that's my thought too, like there's something wrong with me. And I want to be clear, there might be something wrong, but there's nothing wrong with you. And I am even cautious about the word wrong, because it's not wrong, it's normal. And this is what I want to present to you guys. It's very normal. This gig is really hard. It is really hard. We do not talk enough about how hard this is. Very often I'll be working with a client just the other day, and the work was giving her permission to say, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to look after these kids. I want someone to look after me. That's very hard. It's a lot of work, to her credit. I mean, it's amazing. It's an honor to witness this and to be, to be the guide, and it's great to be effective, but it's really wonderful to witness. To say, this is really hard, because it's hard to acknowledge that it's hard, because we're confronted with so much shame and guilt, because we have this belief and expectation deep down in the structure of our reality that we're supposed to be good at this. It's supposed to come natural. It's supposed to be blissful. And it's supposed to be easy because I'm a mother. And it's not. It's really, really hard. It's not just you. And the fact that you think it's hard is not proof that there's anything wrong with you. When I became a mom for the first time, I thought there was something wrong with me. And in a way, to be honest with you, I knew there was. I knew there had to be something wrong. While it's very normal to lose your, thanks Rebecca, to lose your cool, at the same time, I also want to honor your instinct. There's something in your mind telling you this isn't okay. This isn't okay. I'm not happy with this. This isn't the person. Neely, you had said this just now. I don't want this woman showing up here. I don't want her. She's not welcome in my relationship. It's automatic. She just comes in. And we're going to talk about why. But it's kind of balancing this part of me being like forgiveness, understanding, and compassion and recognition. And I hope that gathering here as a group of, 20 women gives you a sense that, okay. It's okay that this is hard. But at the same time, having the courage to say, I got to do something about this. This is important because my relationships with my kids are really, really important. Maybe you're like me and you're thinking, I want to give them something I didn't have. I want to give them a mom who is present and attentive and sensitive. I want them to feel held in the world. I want them to feel confident. I want them to feel secure and capable. And I don't always feel that way. And I want to give them something different. So recognizing that, yeah, this is really hard. I need to do something about it. But the fact that it's hard, it's not proof that there's anything wrong with you. It's proof that actually you're a little bit turned on. It's when we don't say. It's when we're not. When we're denying the struggle where we're in trouble. And that's why I praise my clients for coming in, because they're not denying it. They're facing the anxiety that comes with recognizing there's got a struggle here. So life with kids is hard, and no one really knows what they're doing. I mean, no one knows what they're doing. Put parenting into the search in Amazon, okay? You know how many results you're going to get? 80,000 results. 80,000 in Amazon, like books. 80,000. It's crazy. Because no one knows what we're doing. That's what we're Googling. We're like, how do I raise these human beings? I don't know what I'm doing. No one can tell, right? Like, no one can see me, right? Nobody knows what they're doing. We really struggle. This is really hard. We all struggle, and at one point or another, we all need help. And we all need to reach out for help. And that's what this group is here for, and that's what you're doing here, and I praise you for that. There's an author. I think she's a neuroscientist. Her name's Sarah McKay. She wrote a book called Demystifying the Female Brain. I've got it on my bookshelf. I did not bring it down to prove it, but I've got it on my bookshelf. And she writes about the female brain and stages of life. And when she's talking about motherhood and birth and motherhood, she says, she declares the reality that life with kids is hard, and it's the norm to struggle. And here's what she says, okay? Motherhood is viewed as both a natural and sacred role, the epitome of bliss, serenity, and fulfillment as a woman. For many women, it's nothing of the sort. Though most of us think that we're the only one, the regret, shame, guilt, and anger are there from the very beginning. This is me talking now. And this is demonstrated in a pretty modest survey done by the Times magazine of a population of 913 women. It's not a huge population as far as studies go, but it's modest, it's good. Thanks, Sahama. And they commissioned new mothers, and they did the survey in 2017. Okay, they had an issue called The Goddess Myth. And let me just say that again a little slowly. The Goddess Myth. Okay, so the New York Times in 2017 published a magazine, a special edition, The Goddess Myth. And inside was findings from a study of 913 new moms. Okay, now half of the women surveyed reported significant feelings of regret, shame, guilt, or anger associated with their pregnancy, birth, and postpartum experiences. Now you're like, I didn't just have a baby, I have like bigger kids. But stick with me, okay? Because that's just the beginning of the journey, okay? Because Dr. K, she adds to her discussion on motherhood that motherhood, quote, doesn't magically become carefree and joyous. Guys, hold on to your seats because I'm going to blow your mind in a second. Doesn't become carefree and joyous after baby's first birthday. If anything, the years that follow continue to wear you down bit by bit, making the emergence of mood disorders, that is anxiety, depression, more likely than in early postpartum months. Can I get an amen? I was like, well, preach! The fact that life with kids is hard and only gets harder is supported, listen here, by the Australian Longitudinal Study on Women's Health. It's the ALSWH, which since 1990s has followed 58,000 women. Boom! Now we're talking population sizes. Women born in the 20s, in the 50s, and the 70s. Amen. Thank you, Malka. So in the 90s, they're like, let's do this. Let's study these women, and let's study them over time. In research, this is the best type of study. There are different types of studies you can do, and a longitudinal study is one of the most valid studies. It's like valid and reliable. That's the word, most reliable. I can't say it's valid, but I can say it's makes it very reliable, the reliability. I can, because you can have a lot of research, they say, has anyone heard that? They say, who's they? What are they saying? Why? I want to see the research. Now, this study is bona fide research, okay? 58,000 women that from the 1990s have been studied over decades. And these women are born in the 20s, so think about it, Bobby. In the 50s, my mother. In the 70s, I'm at 84, okay? So you can see the generations, okay? So let's take a look. Now, of these women that were born in the 70s, okay, 9,145 women. In this cohort of women, it was found that mothers with older children, like you and me, the ones over 12 months, reported lower scores of well-being and mental health than women with babies under 12 months. So if you thought it was hard, let me just validate this for you. If you thought it was hard when you first became a mom, oh man, that was hard. That was hard. That rocked my world. And I could open a whole separate Facebook group just for that. It only gets harder. It only gets harder, right? Can I get a right? Right? Yeah, it gets harder. It doesn't get easier. It's not like, oh, I know what I'm doing. Now, granted, my second baby came along and I was like, boom, diaper, yes. Okay, and it was a lot easier. My second child wasn't in the NICU for 10 weeks and she wasn't born with a surprise, birth defect. I don't talk about it a lot because she asks me not to, but she was born in her development, she's fine. She got sewed up and she's totally fine and totally normal. But I wasn't expecting that. And 10 weeks in the NICU, I wasn't expecting that. Then the nurse, everything, and that's a pretty extreme scenario. But baby after baby, new babies. It's hard, right? It's hard, and it only gets harder. It only gets harder. It's not you. There's nothing wrong with you. It actually, studies show, this very valid, reliable study tells us, it's not me, there's nothing wrong with me. It actually does get harder. It is hard, and it gets harder. The more time that passes and the more kids we have, the harder it gets. It's hard, okay? Does that mean that there's something wrong with me? Nope. Life is hard, right? Life is hard. As you said, challenges are normal. I was doing an exercise video in the quarantine. That's right, an exercise video, one. So don't let your imagination, create a story that I was exercising every day. No, but I did an exercise video. And like challenges, you were saying something about like challenges are hard, but that's how you get shit done. It's hard work. Any of my clients could tell you it's hard work, and I don't shy away from that. It's hard work. Growing is hard work. Growing children is hard work, because not only do we have to grow them, but we need to grow in the process. And that's what we're doing here. So the older your kids get, the more you have, the harder it gets. And sometimes the worse you feel. And you don't have to qualify for a mental health disorder. This isn't about diagnoses. This isn't about, oh, is this depression? Oh, is this anxiety? Even though you may be presenting symptoms and experiencing it. You don't need, it's not about that, though those are important. It's just about acknowledging that this is hard, guys. This is hard. So when we talk about getting, the first thing we need to know, when we think about, okay, something's wrong and I need to change it, the first thing we need to do, and I said this, and I always say this, and this is the soapbox I stand on. We have to acknowledge that we're having a problem. In fact, I didn't make this shit up. In AA, you stand up and you say, my name is Liba Lurie and I'm an alcoholic. That is step one of AA. How do I know that? In my studies, I had to do placements, and I worked in rehab. And I go to AA meetings and NA meetings, and you stand up and you say, I'm an alcoholic. You have to own it. You have to say, I'm having a hard time. This is hard. It is the hardest step. It is the hardest step, and it's what keeps people out of recovery, is that it's so hard to recognize that I'm struggling. I want to sit on that for a moment. It's so hard. This morning I actually had this interaction, like this, years of interacting and realized something about myself and realized something about my struggle in myself, in the world, who I am. And it was big. It was a big realization. It can be hard. It can be hard. It's also very satisfying. There's something very satisfying in it because it just goes, here, weight off. Because holding the weight of struggle and trying to figure it out on your own, the mental energy that goes into that is exhausting. And if you feel exhausting because you're trying to figure it out all by yourself, it makes sense. It is exhausting to do it all on your own. It's hard, and the village is important. And yeah, I'm reading your comment, Malka. The village is really important. And while it's hard to attain, I really do hope that this group provides a sense of that, like a, what do you call it? Just a little, like I can reach in and just hold it for a little bit, just have the sense of it. So I just have here in my notes here about a client, the mom's AAs. Yes. And I just talk about her and how she feels very overwhelmed and, she feels so ashamed to share with me even the nature of her blowouts because she gets so angry and she just, I don't know, you're welcome to share. You can say here if you want to stand and share that. Maybe you'll have some catharsis, a bit of relief to say, yeah, I lose my shit really bad. I'm ashamed of it. Like, I'm ashamed of how I speak. You don't have to put this in the comments, but, you're not alone if you have a sense of shame around. Thanks, Azzy. You're not alone if you feel ashamed of yourself. If you're blowing up and you feel ashamed of yourself. This client of mine, she was scared that if she told me that she yelled at her kids, even using swear words to express her frustration, I would judge her and I wouldn't want to work with her. And we fear rejection, that if I share my struggle, that I'll be rejected. And this is tied, and we're going to talk a bit about this is tied to our earlier experiences in relationships where, I'm just checking my battery, guys, I don't know how much battery I have, our early relationships, and, I don't know what I did here, in our early relationships. If you guys send me messages, I can't check them because I'm in a Facebook Live, but I will check them after for sure. In our early relationships, that if I share my struggle, I will be ignored, I will be rejected, I will be shamed, I will be dismissed. And dismiss can look like, leave me alone. And dismiss can also look like, Julie, I'm going to have to look at it after, but thank you. Dismiss can also look like, you know what you should do? You know what you should do? You should do this, or giving a solution. So if that's been our experience, it's going to be even harder to come and share our struggle. Now, the overwhelm and the confusion, the despair, the fear, and the isolation, guys, it's real. It's real. And knowing that you're not the only one, it can be comforting and it can be encouraging. But it's not enough, right? You also need to know why you react if you're going to be able to keep your cool when your kids push your buttons. Okay, so let's talk about that. Why is it that we keep losing our cool? So there are 3 reasons that we keep reacting instead of responding. Okay, and the first one is that you're wired that way. That's the way our brains are wired. Your brain essentially functions to keep you safe. It makes sense of the world so that it can keep you safe. Okay, that's the basic primitive wiring of our brain. And when it detects a threat, it triggers a stress response so that you can react fast. And that's really important because if you're if you don't react fast, then it's life-threatening. So the problem is, and this is really important, your brain often gets it wrong. And that's why you'll snap at your toddler when they don't stay in bed. Or let's take examples from my life, because that'll be fun. Or you, leave me alone when your kid needs you. Or, you've asked them 4 times to clear the table and they don't. And you just lose your shit. Because you are, believe it or not, you're experiencing that, there's a threat here. Unless you can consciously override your stress response mechanism, your brain is not going to be able to make the distinction between a tantrum and a terrorist. Okay, we need to actively activate our conscious thought mechanisms in order to override our automatic. And that's what makes us human, our ability to reflect. And that's what we are doing here, and this is what we do in the group. This is what we do when you work with me. We are taking opportunities to just reflect, to think about the way we're thinking. What's going on here? Whoa, what happened? And we'll get to that. That's one of the things that we can do. And maybe I'd like to give a class on that to walk you through that, the things that you can do when you lose it and how to reflect. So let me know if you want that, say I want it. So then I'll do a class on that. So unless you consciously override it, it's going to keep happening because that's the way your brain works. It's just human. So if you're like, why do I keep doing that? Because you're human. And that's important. You're human. It just happens. That's just the way we work. Now, the second reason is that there's stuff going on for you under the surface that's out of your awareness that's causing you to misinterpret your kids' behavior and react. So, for example, when my kids don't clear off the table for dinner, you know what's going on in my head? You little shits, do you know how much I do for you? How disrespectful. I do so much for you, you ungrateful little twerps, right? And this is the story that's going on in my head. In terms of my sense of value and my worth. And I'm feeling tired and I'm feeling exhausted. Good, thanks ladies, I'll do that. Yes, thank you for telling me. You tell me what you want and I will provide it for you. So we'll do that, that's great. Maybe we could do that next Wednesday. Yeah? I'll ask the group. There's something for me around my sense of whether or not I'm getting what I want, whether or not I'm getting what I need. And if I'm not, then very often I'm going to project it onto my kids that I do so much for you and you do nothing for me. And then it gets messy. So there's stuff going on under the surface for us that we need to pay attention to. That's just one example. There's a lot of stuff that goes under the surface for us that influences our relationship with our kids and our day-to-day interactions and our reactions to them. When your brain receives information from your senses about what's going on, this is how it works on the outside. It interprets the information before reacting. So how does your brain know what meaning to attribute it to the incoming information, right? Because we react really fast. It happens really fast, and then the dust settles, and you're like, what the hell just happened? And that's what the next class will be about. I'm going to walk you guys through. I'll give you guys a lesson on how you can unpack that. But you sit there and you're like, what just happened? What just happened? How did that happen? And that's what's happening, is that you're reacting so fast, your stress response is being activated, that there is no thinking. There is no thinking. Because what your brain needs to actually do is to slow down, and you need to apply the meaning consciously. If you don't, your brain does it automatically. It automatically applies meaning. And where does it get that understanding? Where does it get this information? How does it know what to do? Is it takes your experience. It takes your experience from your life, particularly in your experience of being parented, to inform your responses. Sorry, I'm getting all these notifications. Sometimes that works in our favor, and sometimes it doesn't. Like when I micromanage my kids in the kitchen, the same way my mom would get stressed out when I would try to help, right? Now, a lot has changed since then, but there was this strong sense of just get out of my way, let me do it. I'm stressed out, get away. Even though my mom would then be like, where are you going? How come you're not helping me? I'm like, I don't know what to do here. What do you want from me? Come and help me, but now get out, you're bothering me. And that creates in me a sense of real confusion around, and a sense, not just confusion, but a sense of control, that I have no control. And that stays with us. Those experiences stay with us. And hey, here's a baby, now it's your turn. And then suddenly, Pito, I'm a mother. And I'm like, what? What? And the only way I know how to do this is how I was raised. Shit, we're in trouble. And that's why it's important that we reflect on our experience being parented. Is this light really bad? I'm getting some backlight. You guys might not be able to see me. Can you let me know if you can see me? I don't know if this disrupts your learning experience. So even though I know better, right? I know better. The dust settles and I'm like, oh my God, I did it again. I can't help it. Unless I actively, consciously work on myself, which is what we do in this group, nothing helps. It doesn't help. I just keep reacting because I'm human. That's how my brain works. That's my automatic brain. Darkness. Sorry, guys. Maybe I'll move. Should I move? Let me know if you want me to move, guys. So it's automatic, okay? That's the second reason. The first is we're human, and the second is it's automatic. Now, the third reason that you keep losing it is because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I have a more in-depth manual when I buy a car than I do having a child. Okay, I needed to actually get a driver's license to drive that car. I've never bought a new car, by the way, guys. One day. Thanks, Malka. I know more how to drive a car than I do raising a kid. Okay, like there's some books out there, they're great, but tachlis, like in the day-to-day, like what am I doing? Something's, like I don't know what I'm doing. So, they don't come with a manual. And I'll be honest with you, I have a master's in psychology and like a decade of clinical work. And at the beginning, that didn't, thanks guys, thank you. That didn't really even give me the tools to tackle this practically. In my studies, in fact, is when I really recognized how important my day-to-day interactions are with my kids. And it all came together. It was actually quite distressing for me. As I say, like when you realize that you're struggling, it can be distressing. And I want to say that like I know it's distressing. I don't want to say it just factual. I want to really offer you comfort in this distress, that it is really distressing. It is very distressing. It should not be made light of. It's very distressing. That's right. Cars are all the same, but kids aren't. Malka, yes. Yes. So, yes. Yes. So I had a master's in psychology, and that didn't really even give me the tools. It basically just told me that I needed the tools to practically, mentally, and emotionally, manage the task of raising kids. And Becca, you too felt so shocked when you just walked out of the hospital with like your first baby, like, oh, okay. Is anyone going to stop me? Does anyone know? So coming into this gig, all we really know, guys, is from the model we were given from our parents. Okay, and that's not good or bad. Okay, it's really important that we're able to see the gray, the whole spectrum of our experience. But that is you read the parenting books to fill in the blanks. You still find yourself falling into old patterns, and your dream to build loving and lasting relationships can feel like it's far off. And that should say that you don't have to be like, I was really like in pieces, guys. Like years ago, I was really in pieces, and it was very confronting. You don't necessarily have to feel so confronted. You may just feel like, I need some to know that I'm not alone, that there are other women out there. I like to just get information just to put it in my toolbox. There's a spectrum of struggle as well. And that's important to know. One is because I want everyone's included here. And also, like if you're falling apart, it doesn't always have to be that way. It can come to the point where we can tolerate it. We can tolerate our feelings of like, I'm not in control and I don't know what I'm doing. And that's one of the goals here, in my opinion. So even if you have positive associations, and this is important, because I know I've met with women in my groups and they've been like, I had great parents. I had really amazing parents. They were loving, attentive, present. I had one woman who said, like, my mom worked a lot, but my dad was there and he was great, making meals and everything. So, and my husband, he's a great example. He comes from this nuclear family. Now, I don't know if you guys know me. My background is growing up when I was, first of all, I'm a grandchild of Holocaust survivors. I want to say that, which those who know, that's very significant. If you have trauma in your family, such as the Holocaust or war, or even the Great Depression, like a big sudden changes in your environment that are threatening to your survival, that is trauma. And you can experience what's called tertiary trauma. Tertiary is third. And that is grandchildren of Holocaust survivors are subject to that. I grew up with very good people. My parents are good people. They were good people. Good people. It's taken me a long time to reconcile that. Really good people, really bad parents. Love them. Really bad parents. Because like I'm not a good parent just because I have a baby. I've got, my body works, but doesn't mean I'm a good parent. And I had to work very hard to become a good parent. And just to qualify what a good parent means, I was saying this to my husband this morning, actually. I said to him, a good parent, and I think it's complex, but if I had to say it in a few words, and I actually wrote a blog about this, really comes down to consciously and attentively building a relationship with your children. And this is what this group is about, and that's what I stand for, and that's what I believe in, that parenting is not a state of doing. It's not what we do, it's how we are in being with our children, because that's what it is for a relationship. Now, our relationships, our first primary relationships have shaped us. You know, my father traveled a lot, and he left. And he himself comes from a very difficult background from, you know, communist Russia and the Holocaust and all that. So his attachments are very wounded. So he had children and he didn't really attach to us. And also being a man and from Russia and the culture around children, and he would up and go a lot. So I experienced abandonment from a very young age, and no repair, no reunions to, you know, like you can leave your kids. It's totally okay to leave your kids, but to not notice your child being left was harmful to me. And then he died. Then my parents divorced, another loss. And then my father, I only saw him like weekends, which was a loss. And then he died, actually. He left the country. He went back to Europe after communism fell, with the intention of, you know, helping businesses who weren't running independently. Now, okay, I'm going to consult them and help them. And guess where I get my entrepreneurship from? He went and he was gone, and every month he would call. Just to give you some context, he would call once a month. Now, I want you guys to just think about this for a second, what your reaction is to that. Objectively, not to me, but in general, like, if a parent goes away and calls once a month, like, does anyone else go like, what the? Like, it's like, because we know, like, I know you all know, like, because just generationally, we know this now in our generation, you can't really do that. You can't do that and it not affect the child. But that's what he did, and I was left, and he would call once a month. I was 7 years old. I was very young. And when I was 8, I was just shy of turning 9, he died unexpectedly in his sleep. We suspect he had a heart attack. He had a weak heart, and he died. So those are my experiences, you know. And then my mother wasn't really emotionally equipped to help us grieve, because being a child of the Holocaust herself, her relationship with herself was rocky, and her relationship with what's yourself, guys, by the way, is your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors. We are all pretty much in tune with our behaviors. Some of us can really pinpoint our thoughts. If not, we're going to work on that. And most of us are not really connected to our emotions, not because there's anything wrong with you, but because emotional awareness is actually a skill. And if you don't learn it in your primary relationships, then it's left unlearned. And we need to learn it. We need to develop that. So my mother, God bless her, did not have those skills, and so she couldn't nurture me in my sadness, and there was no space for that sadness, and so it stuck around for a really long time until I was able to come and face it. How long did that take, Liba? Years! It takes years. But in those years, developing stronger relationships with myself, with my children, with my partner, with friends. Who has friends? Who has friends? Who has a group of girlfriends? Raise your hand, please, if you have a group of girlfriends. Let me know if you don't. Let me know if you're a woman who is sort of like bodedet, like you're just doing it, you know, you're just going on it on your own. Because I was like that for a very long time. And then I made a group of friends. I went with a girlfriend of mine. She was turning 50 at the time, and we decided to go to Sinai, and there was a whole group of women. Thank you, Malka. A group of women, and we ended up bonding, the group of us, in Sinai. And we've been back since, and we will go again. And hi, Kristen. And so now I have a group of girlfriends where I can experiment with connections, and I can recognize. It's very important because it gives you this opportunity. And maybe we'll create that here, you know. And in a way, it is something I do want to create, you know, a safe space where I can experiment with myself, sharing myself with other people. Because the way we know who we are, and this is not just about me. This is also about your children, okay? How you raise your children. The way they know who they are, the way they know who I am, is I share it, and it gets reflected back to me. It's like the world says, yes, that's real. Yes, that's real. And that is acceptable, you know? I see you. And for many of us who struggle, at the root of the struggle, and we're going to get to this, is nobody sees me. Nobody understands me. Or I should put it another way. I don't feel understood. I don't feel seen. And those are actually thoughts, and what that actually feels like is even deeper. And that's the process here, that we get down to our emotional experience in relationships so that we can really be present and there for our kids. Because when we get angry and we explode, It's because there's something going on under the surface that isn't being attended to, because for one reason or another, it's not accessible. Very often because it's not in our awareness, we've kept it out of our awareness because it's not comfortable. It brings up other stuff. It's too scary to bring up. So we keep it down, but that doesn't mean it goes away. It's still there, and it can be triggered. And many of you will say, my kids push my buttons. Those are your buttons, ladies. I had a client who called me up, and when she first called me, she said, and praise to her, I thought it was really amazing. I thought, I was very excited to work with her. She said, I want to work, my kids push my buttons, and I want to figure out what my buttons are. And I thought, yes, yes. And that's what we did. We figured out what her buttons were. And she's done amazing work, amazing work. And I have a lot of pride. I feel very proud of my clients and their hard work. So even if you have positive associations, I hate this backlight, even if you have positive associations with your own childhood, because there's maybe some of you in the group, you can say, that's me. I dig, my parents are great. Your kids are completely different and unique individuals, right, Malka? They're not cars. They're not you. Your kids are not you. You still have to figure out who they are and how to relate to them. So even though my parents, I'm going to speak from a woman who was in one of my groups, my parents were really great. What she actually discovered in the workshop was that even though her parents were great, committed, loving people, she didn't actually get all of her needs met. And not because it was intentional or it was bad, but she just didn't. She didn't. And by doing so, by recognizing that, she was able to be more attentive to her children's needs. So it's not about throwing our parents under the bus. It's not about, yes, we do need to process some anger and rage and grief, and there's stuff there. It's not about blaming our parents. That's actually a psychologically immature way of coping, is to say it's your fault. Kids do that, and that's appropriate for kids. As adults, we need to take responsibility for ourselves, and we need to take responsibility. When I say ourselves, I mean selves with capital S. My emotions and what's going on for me, because I'm not a kid anymore, unfortunately. And that ship has sailed, and I need to repair that. So who's asking themselves right now, okay, great, Liva, that's awesome. So what can I actually do to stay calm and feel confident that I'm doing a good job? Like, tell me what to do now, right? And that's very often what people say to me. Tell me what to do. Now, I just gave you the background. It's not enough I can't just say to you, okay, go do this, go do that. Though I would recommend. This is what I recommend that you do. For example, I said to my husband this morning, our daughter, she'll fall and get hurt, and she'll be very emotionally hurt if someone doesn't come running. Because what she needs is her pain to be reflected back to her. She needs her pain to be seen. And so not only Sarah, tell me more. I see your question. Don't forget, guys, if you have a question, to put question in bold so I know it's a question. I'm happy I caught this, Sarah. That's an important question. What feelings are you referring to? I say things and I don't remember what I've said. Having kids with ADHD, I'm ADD. I have a kid who's ADD. She's not so much hyperactive, but she's ADD, and this is the daughter I'm talking about. We are more sensitive, emotionally sensitive people, because we pick up on things that other people don't pick up on. It is one of my superpowers. Being ADD is one of my superpowers. We have these diagnoses, and we think there's something wrong with us, and that's one of the drawbacks of diagnoses, even though they're very helpful in treatment plans, like creating treatment plans. That is one of the drawbacks, is that they have stigma and their labels. And yes, no, I know I spoke about my daughter, but Sarah's saying, is the feelings the same with moms with ADHD? And I'm not sure which feelings, Sarah, you're referring to, but I want to respond to you. So if you could just elaborate. So my daughter needs to have her pain reflected back to her. She needs to be seen in that pain. So that's something I would do. I would say to my husband, okay, I don't care what's going on for you. I don't care what you think, even though I reflected what he thinks. Like, I know you think that, but here's what's going on for her. Okay, and this is what she needs. It's too scary for her to ask because she expects to be abandoned. It's just that she's like prone to abandonment. Could be because she's my daughter. It could be because she was abandoned. It could be because there's something, a predisposition in her personality, which is also a possibility. I do believe that is a possibility, that some of us are just born that way. And she is, like me, very easygoing, doesn't ask for much, And sometimes that can be a problem because she won't ask if she needs something. And if she doesn't get it, she'll be very hurt. And that makes it very tricky because, she's maintaining her belief that she's alone in the world. And so I said to him, you need to just run to her. Just like, remember when your kids were small, when they're little 2, and they go, I got a boo-boo, and you go, oh no, you got a boo, right? And you'd like make it into a big show and dance, a play. And I said to my husband, Gila, you don't stop doing that. He's like, for how long? I'm like, for their whole lives. Your kid comes to you and says something was hard. You go, oh no, that's shit. Oh no. Obviously, you're not going to baby them about it and be patronizing, but you're going to acknowledge it. Like, oh no, can I help? Like, do you want me to keep your boo-boo? You're not going to do that because they're going to be grown up and capable, but you're going to acknowledge that they're in pain. You're going to acknowledge their struggle. And that's where we struggle, is that nobody acknowledged my struggle. Nobody acknowledged my struggle. So I had to figure it out by myself. I'm a kid. I don't know how to figure it out by myself. I need a parent. And you know what? I want to be that parent. I want to be that parent to help my child figure out her struggle. Because you know what? She is going to struggle. All of them are going to struggle. Because you know what? She's human. That's part of life, guys. That's part of life. It's the struggle. So that's my job, and that's the relationship, is I see you and I relate to you. You exist to me. You exist to me. You're in my mind. That's the relationship. That's the dynamic. We're going to talk more about that because I think it's really interesting and very helpful. So what do you need to do to stay calm and feel confident, raise content, capable, and considerate kids? Or as I like to say, keep your shit together. The first thing you need to do is you need to rewire your automatic reactions so that instead of unconsciously reacting, you can stay calm and thoughtfully choose how to respond to your kids. The second thing you need to do is you need to figure out what's really going on for you under the surface that's causing you to misinterpret your kids' behavior and react. Unless you bring that stuff into awareness, guys, it's going to keep triggering your automatic reactions and keep you from nurturing the connections and building the relationships that you want to have with your kids. Yes, a mom with ADHD, the feelings are really intense. Yeah, we feel things very strongly. It is our superpower. It's a superpower. And just like all great superpowers, you need to learn how to harness it, right? Like that's the story of all superheroes. They discover that they have this power and then they have to get hurt a lot while they are learning how to use it. Like what's his name? Spider-Man, right? He falls a lot before he's like, oh, look what I can do. This is awesome. And that means that, Sarah, not just for us, who feel our emotions very intensely, for everybody, emotions are intense, and it's all subjective anyways, right? So let's assume we're all feeling our emotions intensely, that we need to allow ourselves to feel them. We need to get to feel them and not just know what they are, but really make space for them. And that's best done really to have somebody else reflect it back to you, if I can be honest, is someone says, yeah, I see that too. Because like I said, not only is that what helps us to develop our sense of self, i.e. our children as well, but it's what helps us to repair what was missing for us. It gives us a sense of repair, like, oh, there are people in the world who see me. Oh, I do matter. Oh, I do exist. Oh, this is real. And that's very much part of what we need to do to be more present with our kids, so that I am not as triggered by my kids, but I've taken care of my own stuff, right? We need to bring that stuff into awareness. Otherwise, it's going to keep triggering our automatic reactions and keep us from nurturing the connections and building the relationships that we want to have with our kids. Now, the third thing we need to do is we need to figure out what's going on for our kids, right? So that we don't miss these opportunities to connect with our kids and our relationships together. So as much as we're going to put effort into figuring out what's going on for us, right? What is going on for me here? What's this really about? What is going on for me? And that's what we'll do next week, because this is really, really important. And I want to give you some tools so that you can reflect, and you'll have this group as well to come into for some help. What is going on for me? What is this all about? Why am I losing it? And to figure out, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? And really going into those places, into my consciousness and my awareness, to bring it into awareness, to see it for myself. If it's not being seen, then to see it for myself. So Tova, for you, step one is that you need to rewire your automatic reactions so that instead of unconsciously reacting, you can stay calm and thoughtfully choose how to respond to your kids. And how we rewire them is through attention, paying attention, self-reflection, because our automatic reactions are happening in the very primitive parts of our brain, and we want to use our more developed reflective parts of our brain to bring awareness. Basically, we use our mind to tell our brain what to do. We say, hey brain, I know you're freaking out here and that makes sense, but this is what's really going on. This is what's really going on. And we use our minds and our awareness to regulate so that our brains aren't as threatened. This is called integration, by the way. We integrate the parts of our brain. So when we're in a stress response, our brain cuts off, right? Let's reserve some energy here, and it just acts primitively and reacts. And that's why you get so angry so fast. But when we can bring awareness and become familiar with our reactions and recognize our automatic responses, and mostly, guys, I'm going to tell you, in our bodies, that we start to feel it and we bring attention there. And we start to reflect and ask ourselves questions. And really, guys, share it. Because when you share it, you get the reflection back. Then it can become real. And then it helps you reflect. And that's what happens in therapy. It's what happens in groups, that I run. Like, we're tossing it around. Because when we share, it's there in a relationship, right? In that dynamic, we get to know ourselves. And that's why relationships are so powerful and they're so important to raising kids. The relationship is so important. That's why parenting is really building a relationship. Everything else is commentary, really. I don't care how much videos they have or sugar they have. Like, that's not the stuff that people come into my therapy office and say, my mom, let me watch so much videos. No one says that. They will say, my mother wasn't home. And this is me. My mother wasn't home. I watched so much TV because my mother wasn't home. I was by myself all the time as a child. Didn't matter what kind of day I had. Didn't matter what happened. No one was there to talk to or to give a shit. And that was what affected me. Not that I watched, Friends and Seinfeld, but because no one was there to reflect back to me my day and tell me, oh, really? Oh, yeah? Uh-huh. And help me bring that to integrate that as, this is a part of you, sweetheart. This is who you are. And that's why we can feel very dissociated from our emotions. It's like our emotions are out here, and integration is bringing them in here. And one of the reasons, thanks, the little hugging the heart thing, I love that. Thanks, Facebook, for adding that. It only took a global pandemic for us to start to care. Feeling into our bodies and asking ourselves, what's going on for me? What is that happening for me? So we're going to do that. We'll work on that. So that's number one, figuring out. Hi, I'm back. Sorry, my phone ran out of storage, so I had to go delete a lot of videos. Robin, you asked the question with caps, so I'm going to answer it. So the reflecting is about what's happening deep down, or like on the surface, as in all she does is asking for. So is everyone coming back? Oh, I'm so glad. Thanks for hanging out there, guys. Sorry about that. So the reflecting is about what's happening deep down or like on the surface, as in all she's doing is asking for. Right. So I think, if I understand your question, Robin, and this is what I was talking about as well in number 3, is that we need to figure out what's going on for us, and we need to figure out what's going on for our kids. We need to ask ourselves, what's going on for her? What is all she's doing is asking for this. Yes, maybe, I don't know. What's going on for her? What does she really want here? What is this about for her? And also, what does that bring up for me? And that's what we need to do, because that's what a relationship is. That's how a relationship works. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've given you a sense of my background. So I came into motherhood and into adult life, and I didn't know how to have relationships. I didn't know how. And I slowly realized, wow, they're really important to live a happy, fulfilled life is relationships. I don't want to do this alone. I don't want to feel alone. And it was very confronting to realize that I didn't know how to do it, right? It's confronting to realize our limitations. That's why it's important for me to come on and say, guys, yeah, it is. And we are limited, and it is scary to see it. But and it takes a lot of courage to see it, but it's important to see it. Hello, my name is Liba, and I am a mom. Thanks, Malka, for that. That's our step 1. I am a mom. Maybe I'll do like a 12-step program for this group. MA, Moms Anonymous. That we need to learn how to build relationships. And unfortunately, I wasn't given the tools, the skills, or what I like to say, the experience. I wasn't given the experience. So when it comes to reflecting on what's going on for me, it's a lot of work. And I had to learn how to do it. And it was hard. It was hard because I had to learn to trust myself and other people. But that's what we get out of relationships. That's the fruits that we will bear when we do. Yeah, look, I know you'd love that. Those are the fruits that we bear when we do this work, is we give our children that. And there's nothing more I want as a mother than to give my children that. I can't give them everything. But I can give them a connection to me. Now, of course, that means that there has to be a me. I need to know who I am. I need to know what's going on for me. And I need to know what I need and what I want. Those are the fundamental parts of who we are. How do I know they're fundamental? Because that's what comes out with a baby. A baby is needs and wants. They don't have thoughts. They don't have opinions. They don't have ideas. They don't have perspectives. That's not what makes them them. I need to be fed. I need to be held. I need to be changed. That's basic. It is the basic part of who we are our wants and our needs. And so we're going to talk about this more in the future when we talk about boundaries, getting our kids to do what we want them to do, etc. Wants and needs. And so we need to figure out, what do I want? What do I need? Our relationships around our wants and needs. Who am I? And then when I figure out who I am, then I'm really there. Then I'm really present, and I can really be patient for my kids. And not only that, but I actually am better equipped to tune into what's going on for them. Because as you guys will see as we go forward, hi Rosa, as we move on and we talk about, how do I connect with my kids? How do I figure out what's going on for them? That it can be, what's hard there is that I don't even know what's going on for myself. Like, how do I see and this was my mother's problem. She couldn't see my sadness because she wouldn't allow herself to see her own. Because her association with her own sadness was deep shame. Because as a child of Holocaust survivors, who am I to feel sad when mommy and daddy lost everybody? Who am I? And not only does she intuit that, but that is the unconscious interaction that she has with her parents, which is very common, that I went through so much. Who are you? Right? You can't waste food. A lot of children of Holocaust survivors and children's have issues with food. We have funny associations like with food. Food's another topic. We'll talk about that another time. Not even kashul to the Holocaust. But anyway, so those are the three things that we need to do, right? We need to rewire our automatic, and that is working on our attention. And we do that through mindfulness, and we do that through, I'll walk you through next week, please God, I'll give you guys a class on some steps that you can take to bring, to develop your self-awareness and the questions to ask. Then we need to also connect with our kids. We need to connect with ourselves and really reflect on what's going on for us. And we need to connect with our kids and figure out what's going on for them. Wait, if I put myself aside here, I suspend my wants and my needs and my wishes, and I can remove myself from the equation and just look at you and hold you in mind as a separate individual. What do I know about you? And we connect with our child. Guys, that's golden. Some of my parents are like, what should I do? I'm like, well, I don't know. What do you think's happening? Like, what's going on here, right? What's going on for you? What's going on for your kid? Sometimes it's just you got to do something like really quick. Sometimes it's very simple. Sometimes it's you do this, and so like you do this. Don't keep cookies in the house if your kid keeps fighting for cookies. Don't keep them in the house. But of course, doesn't get to the core of the issue, right? There are deeper issues here. This is what we speak to here, to what's really going on. So we have to connect with our kids, and then we need to know how to actually respond. And sometimes, guys, we need to learn how to repair. And that's something we'll do here too. We need to learn how to repair relationships. That's really important. Malka, you have a question. How do you figure out what is going on for them? Sometimes I try to ask and they answer. Sometimes some do not know themselves. That's right. That's right. That's right. Sometimes they don't know. So what's it like when something's going on for you and you don't know what's going on? Like, what does that feel like when you don't actually know what's going on for you? And what do you need? I can tell you what I need, and what I know psychologically is I need someone to help me see that I'm struggling, and I need someone to just sit with me there. And I do it as a therapist. Like, I'll sit with my clients, and they don't know what the hell's going on for them. And I could tell them, but that doesn't help. It doesn't help. And sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll say, well, cognitively, you understand A, B, and C. But emotionally, it's a different experience. What happens in our emotions and what happens in our brains are two different things. And so we need to connect with that experience, and we hold our child in mind. So one thing you can do is it's called mentalizing. This is by psychoanalyst Peter Fonagy. I love him. When people come up with things that I was thinking, and they write the books and I don't have to, I love you. Like, oh my gosh, you're putting words to all my thoughts, articulating everything, and giving giving me and also he's done all the research, so he knows. I'm like, oh my God, biofeedback, yes. It's good stuff. So it's called mentalizing. It's holding somebody in your mind. It's actually one of the qualities of ego functioning. When I assess somebody, I want to know how strong is their ego functioning. What's ego functioning? Your sense of self, what we would also call my sense of self. How well do I know myself? How well can I reflect on how well can I recognize and communicate my emotional experiences, my intellect, my self-regulation, things like that are the scales of ego strength. I can share that with you guys if you want to know about ego strength. Tell me if you want to know about what ego strength is. I think it's really important for me as a parent to know, oh, this is what I really want to help develop in my children. So maybe I'll give a class on that or do something if you guys want it, because I think it's important to know. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is we're trying to nurture our children's ego strength, and that means how they feel about themselves in the world, in themselves, in relationship to others, and in the world in general. And I had a very weak ego strength and had to build it up, and that's what you do in therapy. And in other things in life, it's not just about therapy. You do other things, but we're building our ego strength. Where are we? We're 10 o'clock. Wow. Okay, so that's what we need to do, guys. These are the things that we need to do. I will take questions from anybody who has. I am very aware, keeping you guys in mind. I know you're thinking, wait, but you didn't really tell us what to do. Like, what do I do? So I'm Miyagiing you, okay? Wax on, wax off, ladies. I'm just joking. Paying attention, and showing up here and listening to this, and you're starting to now wonder, you're starting to get curious, you're starting to think about things. That is, thank you, Julie, I will. That is the act of paying attention. That is the first step, is getting curious. So first we say, oh, I'm struggling. And then we say, what's that about? What's that about? So, that goes anywhere. Wait, you get to the end of this class and you're like, wait, I don't get anything. Okay. So what's that? Okay. So what do you need? What do you want? What do you want? Like, I'm here for you guys. Tell me what you want to know. So Julie, you've said, yes, please tell me more about developing ego strength. I want to know about that. And I'm glad you said that, because if you guys say can you give this? And I'm like, yeah, I will definitely take time. I don't want to produce content anymore that I don't want to throw stuff at the wall and see if it sticks. I don't have time or energy for that. I want to give you what you actually want and what you actually need. I actually want to build relationships with you guys. That's what relationships are. What do you want? What do you need? Let me be here for you. So, Julie, you've said that that's what you want. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you need. Now that you're reflecting now that you understand that this is all very normal. This is all very normal. That I'm summarizing here. That this is all very normal. That parenting is hard. That nobody really knows what they're doing. That you're not alone. That you're human. When you lose your cool and you get angry at your kids, hi, Dina, you're human. Hi, Rachel, you're human. That's how many times I say that. You're human. And it's automatic. It's automatic. Okay? It just happens without you knowing that it happens. And there was a third, right? There's stuff going on under the surface. You're wired that way. You're human. Again, it's automatic. It comes from your experience. We're wired that way. And we don't know what we're doing. Yes, that was a very important point. Why do I react? Because I don't actually know what I'm doing. And it's really important that we acknowledge that. And that's why you're here, so kudos to you. You're like, I don't really know what I'm doing. Maybe Liba has some ideas. So I hope I have given you guys some ideas about what you need to inspire you around your wants and your needs, because that's really so important when it comes to change, is that we start to, let me say it again, not change, relationships. Because in order to be in a relationship, Okay, relationships are the connection between two parts. It is this bit here in the middle that we share. That is the relationship. It's when two separate parts connect, and this dynamic where they share together, where they join, that's the relationship. In order for me to create and participate in a relationship with my children, it's a very unique relationship, because we're not equal. Me and my child, we're not equal. They're like this, and I'm big, and we come together, and in this relationship, they grow. And they're like, oh, look, I'm a person. Look, I'm a separate person. And then they can go and have other relationships and feel strong and secure in other relationships. But first and foremost, we create the relationship with them. And in the middle, where we join, that's the relationship. But in order for me to join, and then to know when to stop, I need to know who I am. I need to know what's going on for me. I need to really be in a relationship with myself. I need to know myself. And to know myself, I need to get curious about myself. I need to wonder about myself. And sometimes it means I need to say, shit, I have no idea who I am. I'm scared. I'm alone. I'm sad. Because that's what kids feel when they don't have someone with them. That's how every human being feels when they don't have someone with them. In fact, infants born and left in orphanages where the adult to child ratio is so high, meaning there's one adult and like 20 kids, they're very much alone and no one interacts with them. And so they're having all these experiences and nobody's relating them back to them. They actually there's a very high rate of death. They die of a broken heart. And if they survive, they often have developmental impairments because their brains actually don't develop. And this is a whole other line of research around the brain development in conjunction with or as a function of human interaction. So we're building relationships with our kids. We need to know who we are. And to know who I am, I need to ask myself, who am I? What do I want? What do I need? So here's an opportunity that you can ask me. Now, okay, Liba, you've told us all this. You've told me that I'm normal and it's okay. You've validated me and you've reassured me and you've offered me some comfort. You've explained to me why it's so hard, because I'm human and it's automatic. It just happens. And because I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know what I'm doing. And you've told me that, okay, so I need to reflect on myself. I need to, get my automatic, I need to rewire my automatic. And you've told me that I need to figure out what's really going on for me under the surface. And you've told me that I need to figure out what's going on for my kids. So now my questions to you is, what do you want next? What do you want to know next? You guys will lead me here. I'm not going to tell you. You're going to tell me what you want, and I'm going to provide it for you. So I wanted comments for, can you walk us through how to, and this is important, right? How do I, when shit hits the fan and the dust has settled, how do I make sense of what happened? Hi, Nell. How do I make sense of what happened? Can you walk me through that? Yes, I can. And Julie, you confirmed that you would like to learn more about ego strength. Like, what's ego strength? And how do I nurture that in my kids? Tell me what else you guys would want, what else, what questions you have. That's what I'm here for, and that's what I can reflect back for you. Because that in itself is an important experience, that you come to a space and you say, you know what I really need? I really need this. And I say, yeah, you know what, that is really important. Let me get that to you. Hi, Sally. So if there's anything you want, anything you need, please let me know, and I will create that. Boundaries are huge. I actually have a course, guys, on boundaries. I created a whole course because it is so important. Someone just emailed me and said, can you talk about boundaries more? I have a whole course. What I'd really like to do, guys, is I want to ask of you two things. First of all, I'd like to ask of you how this was for you. I'd really love your feedback. Can you let me know what your takeaways have been from this group? Take a minute now and just reflect. What did I learn? What were you looking for when you came to this class? What did you want to know? What have you learned? What have you gained? You can also tell me again, what more do you want to know? What changes do you want? Do you want, I really would love more question time. I may not be able to give you what you want, but I think it is important that you ask for it and that I have a chance to reflect it back to you. And we can negotiate that. Like, when I don't mean negotiate in a business sense. I mean, like, yeah, I can totally do that. I can totally do that for you. Or I can say, oh, that's so good. I would really love to be able to do that, but I can't do that. Most often I'm going to do it for you because this is what I want to do. I also want to create a space for you guys, and this is not a pitch, but I do want to put out there as a possibility. There is a possibility of creating a smaller group. Now, we're on a Facebook Live, and women are popping in and popping out, and this is really just me talking. I know you're all there, and I know many of you, so I feel connected to you, so I don't really feel like I'm talking out into space, but we're not interacting, and I'm not hearing from you, and I'm not helping you work through things. I'm not getting your feedback, and I'm not getting your individual ideas or thoughts about, yeah, but for me this, or this is what comes up for me, and and then I can actually work with you a little bit and really get down to it. This is me, doing some frontal teaching, which I love doing, and we'll keep doing every Wednesday at 9. But I want to offer you guys an opportunity. If you want to create a smaller group, and it's a more intimate group, it would be a paid group, but it would be a group that we would meet, and we would, and I would actually give you some more one-on-one and individual, and then you would actually be able to we'd create a closed group with a group of women, and then you would have a little pod, which would be cool. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. Anything you guys want, anything that you need, you can use your imaginations here. You can use a magic wand, and one thing that we talk about when I'm working with someone and we're experimenting with possibility is I say, well, if you had a magic wand. It sounds so childish, but sometimes it is such an appropriate question, and it's very powerful. When I first learned it, I was like, that's stupid. I'm like, that's so stupid. But in the right time, it's actually very powerful. If you had a magic wand, what would you wish for? Like if you had a magic wand and Liba could give you what you needed, and Liba could give you exactly what you wanted, what would it be? What would it be? If I wasn't scared of rejection, if I wasn't scared that she'd turn me down, if I wasn't scared... What would I want? What would I need? And you can use your imagination because you guys are going to shape this group here. You guys are going to shape it, and I'm really looking forward to it because that's what I'm here for. So thank you all so very much for joining me. Please give me your feedback. Let me know. You can drop them in the comments below. You can send me a PM. I would really like to hear from you. What your takeaways are from this group, what you've gained from this group. If you could tell patience, if you could give me more than one word, Malka, that would be great. Patience. Maybe I should have some patience. Patience, Lida. Excuse me, let me know. So we are an hour and 15 minutes in. I have to go supermarket shopping. God help me. May the force be with me. It's a 2-day hug. It's for a whole other conversation. So thank you all very much. Magic wand for patience. Yes, so magic wand, guys. Magic wand is not just what you want, which is important. You can ask yourself that question. What do you want from me? What's the magic wand from this group? What's this magic wand from? If I could give you what you wanted, what you needed, what would it be? And maybe I can't, and maybe you're realizing, like, oh, well, Liba can't do it, but this is something I want, I need. That's also very important. That's also very valuable. So you can ask yourself those questions, and I just want to really offer a warm invitation to share with me. You can PM me, feel free. Anybody who has done that before knows that I am very available and to talk and to respond. And I have good boundaries, so I'll let you know. Okay, Jess, that's a good question. Jess, that's actually a really great question for the group. I recommend that you put in the group. It will come through me. I'll have to approve it, so I'll know you're posting it. I'll post my answer. But these are great questions from like seasoned moms. Will also have really important things to say here as well. They'll give you some really good practical tips. When it comes to the psychology, I'm your go-to. This is a very good question, and I know that our group has lots of answers for you, and I do too, so I'll post it there. So I invite you to please go into the group and post that if you wouldn't mind, and I'll comment there too. If there's more to your question, feel free to ask. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. Tell me what you want, what you need. Tell me your takeaways, and if you need more support in any way, let me know as well. Okay, I'm here for you guys. Have a great day. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of this group. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.